I found 15 restaurant chains from the 1970s that completely vanished from America. Most people think they just failed because of competition. But get this. One was destroyed by unsolved murders that still haunt the FBI today. Another collapsed from a country music fraud scheme. And one literally killed customers with contaminated food. These aren't just business failures. They're the dark secrets the restaurant industry buried forever. Welcome back to the channel. The 1970s were supposed to be the golden age of American dining. New concepts everywhere, families eating out more than ever, and entrepreneurs chasing the American dream, one restaurant at a time. These 15 chains served millions of families with signature dishes you probably still crave today, employed thousands of people, and then just vanished. But the reasons why? They're more disturbing than anything you can imagine. We're counting down from 15 to 1, and the top 5 stories will surprise you with how wild the restaurant industry really was back then. Number 15. Sandy's, the Scottish deception. Sandy's tried to compete with McDonald's using their signature Big Scott burger, basically their version of the Big Mac, but with a Scottish twist and special sauce that customers swore was better than McDonald's. Founded in 1956, Sandy's had over 200 locations, complete with bagpiper mascots and fake Scottish heritage. Here's the kicker. The founders were 2 guys from Illinois who had never been to Scotland. The whole Scottish thing was completely made up for marketing. They served thick, creamy milkshakes and their famous 15-cent hamburgers that drew families in droves. When McDonald's lawyers started sniffing around their Big Mac copycat burger, Sandy's couldn't afford the legal battle. By 1979, Sandy's had vanished completely, leaving behind only memories of those fake bagpipe jingles. Number 14. Wags, the pharmacy diner. Picture this. You're picking up your prescription at Walgreens and suddenly you smell bacon and eggs. That was Wags. Walgreens' bizarre experiment in combining drugstores with 24-hour diners. They served legendary roast beef sandwiches that people still talk about today, along with their revolutionary breakfast all-day concept. You could get fluffy pancakes, crispy bacon, and club sandwiches at midnight. At first, customers loved the convenience of grabbing medicine and a meal in one stop. But health inspectors started raising concerns about food prep areas being so close to pharmaceutical sections. Corporate Walgreens realized they were in the drugstore business, not the restaurant business, and sold it off. The new owners slowly killed it. Number 13. VIPs, the highway heartbreak. VIPs owned the Pacific Northwest with their legendary all-day breakfast plates. Perfectly cooked eggs, crispy bacon, and golden hash browns that truckers would drive hundreds of miles for. Their coffee was strong enough to keep you awake through the Rockies, and their hash browns were the gold standard. Crispy outside, fluffy inside. Truckers had their own unofficial VIPs network, radioing each other about which locations had the best waitresses, strongest coffee, and biggest portions. When Denny's came knocking with buyout offers in the late 1970s, most locations got absorbed. The last authentic VIPs closed in 1979, and with it died the last taste of real highway diner culture. Number 12. Henry's Hamburgers, the stubborn idealist. Henry's sold hamburgers for 15 cents and fries by the bagful, literally served in paper bags, not containers. Their thick, creamy milkshakes were legendary across the Midwest. But founder Henry Bresler was an idealist who believed real Americans eat sitting down. While McDonald's was revolutionizing fast food with drive-thrus, Henry's refused to adapt. Bresler literally said McDonald's was destroying American family values with their drive-thru concept. He was so committed to his vision that he turned down a $50 million buyout offer from McDonald's in 1968. That would be worth $400 million today. By 1975, Henry's was basically extinct, proving that sometimes being right isn't enough. You have to be practical too. Number 11. Bonanza Steakhouse, the buffet pioneers. Bonanza pioneered the value steakhouse concept with cheap steaks and their famous all-you-can-eat salad bars that became the stuff of family legend. Their steaks weren't fancy, but they were filling, and that salad bar was like a treasure hunt for kids. Sunday after church became synonymous with Bonanza. Families would pile into wood-paneled station wagons and make the pilgrimage to the salad bar. Kids would stack plates so high with iceberg lettuce, cherry tomatoes, croutons, bacon bits, and ranch dressing, they could barely carry them back to the table. But the Great Salad Bar Panic of 1987 changed everything. Food poisoning outbreaks and a 60 Minutes investigation showing disgusting customer behavior at salad bars made America lose its appetite for communal food overnight. Number 10. Ponderosa Steakhouse, the Sunday dinner empire. Ponderosa was Bonanza's twin. Same concept, same fate, but with even more locations across small-town America. They dominated Sunday dinners with their affordable steaks and massive baked potatoes loaded with butter and sour cream. Their buffet featured endless trips for salad, soup, and famous dinner rolls that came out warm from the oven every 20 minutes. In towns with populations under 10,000, Ponderosa was often the fanciest restaurant for miles. Birthday parties, anniversaries, graduation dinners. Ponderosa was where families celebrated life's big moments. The chain peaked in the 1980s with over 300 locations, but changing tastes and health concerns about buffets slowly killed them. It's wild how quickly one generation's Sunday tradition became the next generation's health hazard. Number 9. Lums, the beer-steamed revolution. Lums had the weirdest gimmick in fast food history. Hot dogs steamed in beer, served in soft, beer-battered buns that made every bite feel more upscale than your average hot dog joint. Founded in 1956 on Miami Beach, Lums was designed to create a sophisticated hot dog experience. Their Lums special was a hot dog piled high with toppings, wrapped in that iconic soft bun that absorbed the beer flavor. They also served actual beer alongside your meal, something few fast food places dared to do back then. The restaurants had dark wood interiors and a cozy, pub-like atmosphere that felt more like a neighborhood tavern than typical fast food. At their peak, they had over 400 locations, but when Kentucky Fried Chicken bought them in 1971, they tried to turn Lums into just another fried chicken joint. The magic was lost. Number 8. Arthur Treacher's, the British Invasion. Named after British character actor Arthur Treacher, this chain served crispy Atlantic cod, perfectly battered and fried to golden perfection, with thick-cut, hand-prepared fries and those sweet, savory hush puppies that were the perfect complement to any fish basket. Founded in 1969, Arthur Treacher's rode the 1970s seafood wave when Americans were becoming more adventurous with their dining choices. For anyone looking to break out of the burger rut, Arthur Treacher's was a welcome alternative with distinctly British theme and Union Jack decorations. At their peak, they had over 800 locations nationwide, but the 1973 oil crisis destroyed them. When oil prices skyrocketed, the cost of deep frying fish became unsustainable. They tried switching to cheaper fish, but customers noticed immediately. From 800 locations to just 3 remaining today, you're more likely to spot Bigfoot than an Arthur Treacher's. Number 7. Gino's, the NFL hero's dream. Here's where it starts getting interesting. Gino's was founded by NFL Hall of Famer Gino Marchetti and his Baltimore Colts teammates, real American heroes trying to build something lasting after their football careers ended. Their signature Gino Giant burger was supposed to be the East Coast answer to the Big Mac, a towering double-decker with special sauce that many customers swore was actually better than McDonald's version. They also pioneered serving both burgers and KFC fried chicken under the same roof, making them a one-stop shop for hungry families. At their peak, Gino's had 330 locations across the Mid-Atlantic and was expanding rapidly. They had real swagger, real money, and real celebrity power. But when Marriott Corporation bought them out in 1982 for $48 million, they systematically destroyed the brand, converting every location to Roy Rogers restaurants. Former executives believe Marriott paid $48 million just to murder a competitor. Number 6. Steak and Ale, the pioneer's curse. Steak and Ale basically invented the casual steakhouse concept that every chain restaurant still uses today. Dark wood interiors, fake English pub vibes, and the revolutionary all-you-can-build salad bar that changed American dining forever. Founded in 1966 by Norman Brinker, they created the template for affordable family dining, Their prime rib was tender, their fried chicken was crispy, and that salad bar was a game changer. Fresh vegetables, pasta salads, and all the fixings you could imagine. But everyone copied them. TGI Fridays, Applebee's, Chili's, you name it. The casual dining explosion of the 1980s and 90s was built on steak and ale's foundation. But here's the cruel irony. Their imitators eventually killed them. It's like inventing the iPhone and watching Samsung take over the market. The last steak and ale closed in 2008. Now we're getting to the real stories. What comes next isn't just business history. These are tales of tragedy, fraud, and unsolved mysteries that the restaurant industry hoped you'd never hear. Number 5. Wetson's, the New York tragedy. Wetson's was New York's homegrown answer to McDonald's, serving 15-cent hamburgers and their signature Big W burger to kids growing up in Long Island and the outer boroughs during the 1960s and early 70s. Founded in 1959, Wetson's had that authentic New York attitude. Their charbroiled burgers had a distinctive smoky flavor, and they offered retro-style car hop service that added fun, nostalgic flair. At their peak, they had around 70 locations throughout the New York metro area. But here's what's heartbreaking. They weren't destroyed by better food or service, but by pure corporate muscle. When McDonald's and Burger King decided to dominate the New York market, they moved in with massive advertising budgets and prime real estate deals that Wetson's couldn't match. It wasn't a fair fight. What died with Wetson's wasn't just a restaurant chain, it was the idea that local businesses could compete with corporate America. Number 4, Chi-Chi's, the party that ended in death. Chi-Chi's wasn't just a restaurant, it was a cultural phenomenon that sold the American dream of Mexican food. Their sizzling chimichangas that seemed to define the menu, crispy nachos smothered in melted cheese and jalapenos, and deep-fried ice cream that was pure indulgence. Founded in Minneapolis in 1975, Chi-Chi's quickly became a household name in Tex-Mex dining. Their oversized margaritas and festive atmosphere turned Mexican night out into a mainstream American ritual. By the late 1970s, they had expanded rapidly to over 200 locations across the country. Then came November 2003. A hepatitis A outbreak linked to contaminated green onions at a Chi-Chi's in Pennsylvania became one of the deadliest restaurant-related outbreaks in American history. 4 people died. Over 650 were infected. The lawsuits that followed were devastating, and the damage to Chi-Chi's reputation was irreversible. From a booming chain to a tragic story of food safety gone wrong, Chi-Chi's faded from the American dining scene forever. Number 3, Sambo's, the name that destroyed everything. Sambo's served some of the best pancakes in America. Their fluffy buttermilk stacks and silver dollar pancakes with tiger butter syrup were legendary. Kids begged their parents to go there for breakfast. Founded in 1957, Sambo's grew into a nationwide phenomenon with over 1,100 locations by the late 1970s. Their all-day breakfast menu, endless coffee, and those perfect pancakes that soaked up syrup like a sponge made it a family favorite across the country. But here's the problem that eventually destroyed everything. The name and decor were based on the story of Little Black Sambo, complete with racist imagery that became impossible to ignore as America's consciousness evolved. As protests and boycotts intensified in the late 1970s, Sambo's became a target. They tried rebranding to Sam's, but it was too late. Sometimes your past destroys your future, no matter how good your pancakes are. Number 2, Minnie Pearl's Fried Chicken, the country star scam. This is one of the most shocking fraud cases in restaurant history. Minnie Pearl was America's sweetheart, the Grand Ole Opry star with the price tag hat and down-home charm who made millions laugh with her country humor. When Minnie Pearl's Fried Chicken launched in 1966, investors threw money at it like crazy. The restaurant served classic Southern fare, crispy fried chicken, fluffy biscuits, creamy gravy, and all the fixings that made you feel like you were eating at Grandma's house. Behind those golden chicken pieces was one of the 1970s biggest securities fraud schemes. The company inflated franchise numbers, faked financial reports, and made promises they knew were impossible to keep. When the SEC investigation began in 1971, the truth was devastating. There were never 1,600 locations like they claimed. Most franchises existed only on paper. Investors lost over $50 million, and franchisees lost their life savings. Minnie Pearl's reputation was nearly destroyed. America's sweetheart became associated with one of the decade's biggest scams. Number 1. Burger Chef. The murders that shocked America. And here we are, number 1. Burger Chef wasn't just another failed restaurant chain. At their peak, they were the number 2 burger chain in America, right behind McDonald's. Founded in 1954, Burger Chef pioneered many innovations we take for granted today. They invented the kids' meal with their fun meal, burger, fries, and a toy, years before the Happy Meal existed. Their flame-broiled Big Chef burger was actually better than the Big Mac, and they served thick milkshakes, fried chicken, and fish sandwiches. By the mid-1970s, Burger Chef had over 1,200 locations and was expanding rapidly. But on November 17, 1978, everything changed forever. 4 employees, 20-year-old Jane Freet, 16-year-old Daniel Davis, 16-year-old Mark Flemons, and 15-year-old Ruth Shelton, were working the closing shift at a Burger Chef in Speedway, Indiana. The next morning, the restaurant was found empty, the back door open, and $581 missing from the register. 2 days later, all 4 bodies were found in a wooded area 20 miles away. They'd been kidnapped and murdered. Here's what makes this case truly haunting. This wasn't just a robbery gone wrong. The killer took the time to kidnap 4 people, drive them to a remote location, and execute them. Only $581 was taken, but the safe contained thousands more. The case remains unsolved 45 years later. Burger Chef never recovered from the tragedy. Sometimes evil just destroys everything in its path. So there you have it, 15 restaurant chains that defined the 1970s with unforgettable food, then vanished forever. From simple business failures to unsolved murders, these stories show us that behind every cheerful restaurant sign was a human drama playing out in real time. Which of these signature dishes do you remember? And should I do a deep dive on the Burger Chef murders? Let me know in the comments, smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next investigation. Thanks for watching, and remember, the next time you drive past an empty restaurant, wonder what stories those walls could tell.